Our top story tonight. Years of abuse forced the Warwick mother, arrested last week on child snatching charges, to run and hide with her kids in Texas.
That's what Elaine Yates' attorney is saying tonight. In fact, she's calling the decision to arrest and charge Yates a terrible mistake that needs to be fixed. ABC6 News reporter Samantha Fenlon spoke with that attorney tonight. She joins us now with more. Sam.
John, Christina, Elaine Yates' attorney tells me her client was scared for her life, having no option but to flee with her children 30 years ago. The attorney of Elaine Yates speaking to ABC6 by phone a week after her client was arrested in Texas for snatching her two young kids from their Warwick home 30 years ago.
She suffered years of torture and abuse at the hands of her now ex-husband. This was widely known at the time.
Attorney Bethany Mactez says Yates, who now goes by the name Liana Waldberg, fled Rhode Island because she had no other choice.
She was scared to death. She worked for years to try and hide from him and was successful at it. And now he knows how to find her, he knows where she's located, and she is petrified.
A paper trail dating back to the 80s, shedding some light into what Russell Yates, Elaine's ex-husband, had to say about his wife and kids' disappearance way back then. In an affidavit from 1985, the children's father writes that he was a fit parent that had a good relationship with his kids. The paperwork also includes a statement saying that Elaine Yates had made contact with police shortly after she fled to say she was safe, but refused to give an address. Elaine Yates' friends affirming the narrative of abuse outside of her arraignment last week.
She was a victim of domestic abuse when she left.
Mactez telling us she wants the case against Yates dropped.
We are confident that the Attorney General will rectify his mistake, dismiss these warrantless charges against my client.
Back in 1988, Russell Yates told the Providence Journal that his wife had discovered he'd been unfaithful and threatened to leave. Now, during that same interview, he admitted to punching her during an argument. It was a few weeks later that she took off. The executive director for the Rhode Island Coalition Against Domestic Violence says because there were no laws back in 1985 against domestic violence, cases like Yates's were very common.
It was really quite common in the early 1980s for victims of domestic violence to feel that they had to flee because they couldn't find safety in their own community. It wasn't until 1988 when Rhode Island passed the Domestic Violence Prevention Act that actually made it codified that you couldn't assault your wife or partner in that way.
Deb DeBear says since news of Yates's case broke, they've seen an increase in the volume of people calling, looking for information and resources. Yates is currently back in Texas. A pretrial conference in her case is scheduled for next month. Live in the newsroom, I'm Samantha.